Welcome to Famous People, English Stories. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey.
Introduction. Today's story is about one of the most talked about figures in modern history, Donald Trump. From real estate to reality TV to the White House, his journey is anything but ordinary. Let's begin with the early days of Donald Trump's life, the boy who would grow up to become the 45th President of the United States. 1. The early life of Donald Trump. Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946, in Queens, New York City. He was the fourth of 5 children. His father, Fred Trump, was a successful real estate developer. Fred Trump built homes and apartment buildings for middle-class families in the outer parts of New York City. From a young age, Donald was surrounded by business, construction, and big dreams. As a child, Donald was full of energy, some said too much. He was confident, bold, and not afraid to speak his mind. But sometimes that got him into trouble. His parents decided that he needed more discipline. At the age of 13, they sent him to the New York Military Academy. It was a school with strict rules and military-style training. There, Donald learned to follow rules, lead others, and work hard. He also began to shine as a student and athlete. Trump later attended Fordham University in the Bronx, but after 2 years, he transferred to the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. Wharton is one of the top business schools in the country. There, Trump studied economics and real estate. He graduated in 1968 with a degree in economics. While he was still in college, Donald began to work for his father's company, Elizabeth Trump and Son. Even in those early days, Donald had big plans. He didn't just want to build homes in Queens and Brooklyn. He wanted to go to Manhattan, the heart of New York City. Manhattan was where the biggest buildings were, and where the wealthiest people lived and worked. After graduation, Donald joined the family business full-time. He was full of ideas and ambition. His father, Fred, was more careful and traditional. He believed in steady, safe investments. But Donald wanted more. He wanted fame. He wanted skyscrapers. He wanted to be the king of New York real estate. In the 1970s, Donald took control of the company and renamed it the Trump Organization. He moved the company's focus to Manhattan. It was a risky move, but Donald believed in himself. One of his first big deals was the Commodore Hotel near Grand Central Station. The building was old and losing money. Donald made a deal to buy it and fix it up. He worked with the Hyatt hotel chain to turn it into the Grand Hyatt Hotel. The project was a big success. It made Trump a name in the real estate world. After that, Donald went even bigger. He built Trump Tower on 5th Avenue. It was a 58-story skyscraper made of glass and steel. Inside were luxury apartments, shops, and Donald's own apartment, filled with gold, marble, and glamour. Trump Tower became a symbol of Trump himself, bold, flashy, and impossible to ignore. By the 1980s, Donald Trump was not just a businessman. He was a celebrity. He wrote a best-selling book called The Art of the Deal, where he talked about how to make business deals and succeed. He started to appear on TV, in magazines, and at parties with celebrities. Trump loved attention, and the world was paying attention to him. 2. Rise, fall, and come back in business. In the 1980s, Donald Trump became a symbol of success, wealth, and luxury. He had the buildings. He had the name. He had the attention. But behind the gold and glamour, the business world was about to change, and Donald Trump would face some of the biggest challenges of his life. Trump expanded quickly. He bought more real estate, not just in New York, but across the country. He bought hotels, casinos, and even an airline. In Atlantic City, New Jersey, he opened the Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino. Then came Trump's castle, and later, the huge Trump Taj Mahal, which was once called the eighth wonder of the world. These casinos were big, bright, and full of excitement. But they were also very expensive. Trump borrowed a lot of money to build them. He believed he could keep winning, and that the money would keep flowing. At the same time, he bought a large yacht, a football team, and many luxury properties. To many, it looked like Donald Trump had everything. But in the early 1990s, the U.S. economy slowed down. The real estate market was hit hard. People weren't spending as much money, and Trump's casinos weren't making as much profit. Debt started to pile up, billions of dollars of debt. Suddenly, the Trump empire was in serious trouble. By 1991, Trump's businesses were in crisis. He had to make deals with banks to avoid personal bankruptcy. He sold off some assets, including his yacht and airline. The Trump Taj Mahal filed for bankruptcy, followed by other properties. His image as a winner took a big hit. Magazines started calling him a failure. Critics said he was finished. But Donald Trump didn't give up. He started working harder, negotiating smarter, and focusing on saving what he could. He made new deals with investors and lenders. He stepped back from some projects and restructured others. Slowly, he rebuilt his name and his business. In the mid to late 1990s, Trump began to recover. He returned to real estate deals in Manhattan. He focused on branding, putting the Trump name on buildings, even ones he didn't own. He realized that his name had power. It meant luxury, ambition, and style. Soon, you could see the Trump name on hotels, golf courses, and apartment towers around the world. Then, in the early 2000s, Donald Trump made a new move, this time into entertainment. In 2004, Trump became the star of a reality TV show called The Apprentice. Each week, contestants competed in business challenges. The winner got a job with Trump. Trump sat in the boardroom, watched the performances, and at the end of each episode, he pointed to someone and said the famous words, "You're fired." The show was a hit. Millions of people watched it. Trump became even more famous, this time as a TV personality. He used the show to grow his brand and sell more products: Trump water, Trump steaks, Trump ties, Trump books. He was everywhere. People admired his confidence and his catchphrases. He seemed unstoppable, again. By the late 2000s, Trump had made a full comeback. He had gone from nearly losing everything to being back on top. His businesses were making money. His brand was strong. And he had fans around the world, not just for his buildings, but for his bold personality and TV fame. But Donald Trump wasn't finished yet. In fact, his biggest and most surprising move was still to come. He had conquered real estate. He had conquered television. Now, he was thinking about something even bigger: the presidency of the United States. 3. The road to the White House. By the year 2010, Donald Trump was already a household name. He had fame, fortune, and a brand known around the world. But behind the scenes, something was changing. Trump had always been interested in politics. For years, he spoke out about the economy, taxes, and international trade. He often gave interviews and wrote about what he thought the government was doing wrong. Many people thought Trump might run for office one day. He had talked about it before, even in the 1980s and 1990s. But it never happened until 2015. In June 2015, Donald Trump walked onto a golden escalator at Trump Tower in New York City. He came down to a room filled with reporters and supporters. There, in front of the cameras, he made a shocking announcement. He was running for President of the United States. Most people didn't take it seriously. Some laughed. Some called it a joke or a publicity stunt. After all, Trump had never held a political office before. He had no experience in government. But Trump didn't care. He said he was different. He wasn't a politician, he was a businessman. And that, he said, was exactly what the country needed. Trump's campaign began with a promise. Make America great again. He spoke about issues that many Americans were worried about: immigration, trade, jobs, and crime. He promised to bring back jobs from overseas, protect American borders, and put America first. His speeches were bold and emotional. He used simple, direct language. He was not afraid to criticize other politicians, even from his own party. He called out the media, saying it was unfair and dishonest. His message connected with millions of people who felt left behind or ignored. Trump's style was very different from other candidates. He tweeted often. He gave rallies instead of traditional speeches. He used social media to speak directly to the people. He didn't follow the rules of politics, and that made him stand out. As the Republican primary race went on, Trump beat one opponent after another. Senators, governors, experienced politicians, they all lost to Trump. By mid-2016, he had won the Republican nomination. Now, he was facing Hillary Clinton, a former First Lady, Senator, and Secretary of State. Most experts believed Clinton would win easily. She had years of experience. She had support from many leaders and celebrities. But Trump had something else: energy, attention, and a strong base of voters. He traveled the country, holding huge rallies. He spoke to people in small towns and big cities. He promised to drain the swamp, to fight corruption in Washington, D.C. The election was one of the most intense in American history. The debates were fiery. The news was filled with controversies, scandals, and surprises. People were deeply divided. But on November 8, 2016, the results came in, and they shocked the world. Donald Trump had won. He became the 45th President of the United States. It was one of the biggest political upsets in history. He had done what few believed was possible. Trump's victory was praised by many and protested by others. Some saw him as a voice for change. Others feared what that change might bring. But no matter what people thought, one thing was clear. Donald Trump had made history. On January 20, 2017, Donald J. Trump took the oath of office. Standing on the steps of the Capitol, he became president. He promised to give power back to the people. He said, "From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. 4. Donald Trump's presidency. On January 20, 2017, Donald Trump became the 45th President of the United States. He stood in front of the nation, raised his right hand, and took the oath. Many Americans were excited. Others were deeply worried. From the very beginning, Trump's presidency was different. He had no background in politics or government. But he had a promise to shake things up. One of Trump's first major actions was to sign executive orders. These are powerful documents that let the president take quick action without Congress. He signed orders to change immigration rules, to build a wall along the southern border, and to reduce government regulations. He said too many rules were hurting business and slowing down the economy. Immigration was one of Trump's biggest issues. He called for stronger borders and stricter rules. He started a travel ban, which stopped people from several countries, mostly Muslim-majority nations, from entering the U.S. This decision caused protests at airports and debates in courts. Some saw it as protection. Others called it unfair. Trump also began working on the U.S. economy. He believed that cutting taxes would help businesses grow and create more jobs. In December 2017, he signed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, one of the largest tax cuts in American history. Supporters said it helped the economy. Critics said it helped the rich more than the middle class. During Trump's first 3 years in office, the economy grew. Unemployment went down. The stock market went up. But at the same time, the country was more divided than ever. Trump used Twitter to speak directly to the public every day. He praised those who supported him and attacked those who didn't. He called news he didn't like fake news. He gave nicknames to his rivals, like Sleepy Joe, Crooked Hillary, and Little Marco. Foreign policy was also a big part of Trump's presidency. He met with world leaders, including North Korea's Kim Jong-un, something no other U.S. president had done. He wanted to stop North Korea's nuclear weapons program. The meetings were historic, but the results were mixed. Trump also pulled the U.S. out of several international agreements. He left the Paris Climate Accord, saying it was bad for American jobs. He also removed the U.S. from the Iran nuclear deal and added new trade rules with China. His message was clear: America first. But things changed in 2020. That year, a new virus, the COVID-19, spread across the world. Hospitals filled up. Businesses closed. Life changed overnight. The U.S. was hit hard. People looked to the president for answers. Trump held daily press briefings. He spoke about testing, vaccines, and lockdowns. But his messaging was often confusing. He sometimes gave medical advice that experts disagreed with. Some Americans supported his hands-off approach. Others believed he didn't do enough to stop the virus. As COVID-19 spread, another crisis appeared. In May 2020, a black man named George Floyd was killed by a police officer in Minnesota. The video went viral. Protests broke out in cities across the country. People marched for racial justice. Trump responded with a strong law and order message. He sent federal forces to some cities and called the protesters thugs. Many said he was dividing the country even more. In late 2020, the presidential election arrived. This time, Trump faced Joe Biden, a Democrat and former vice president. The election was intense. Due to COVID-19, many people voted by mail. On November 3, 2020, Joe Biden won the election. But Trump refused to accept the results. He said the election was stolen, without strong evidence. His legal team filed many lawsuits, but most were thrown out by courts. He kept telling his supporters, "We won." Then came January 6, 2021. On that day, Congress was meeting to confirm the election results. Trump gave a fiery speech to his supporters in Washington, D.C. He told them to fight like hell. After the speech, thousands marched to the Capitol. Some stormed the building, broke windows, and clashed with police. It was one of the darkest days in modern U.S. history. Lawmakers were rushed out. People died. The country watched in shock. Later that day, Congress confirmed Biden's win. Trump left the White House on January 20, 2021, but he did not attend Biden's inauguration. He became the first president in over 150 years to skip the peaceful transfer of power. Even after leaving office, Trump stayed in the spotlight. He faced investigations, court cases, and questions about his role on January 6. But he also remained extremely popular among many Republicans. 5. Life after the White House. When Donald Trump left the White House in January 2021, he was no longer the president. But he was still one of the most powerful and talked about figures in the world. He didn't fade into the background. He didn't walk away quietly. Instead, he returned to his private estate, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, and began planning his next move. Mar-a-Lago became his new base. From there, Trump continued to speak out on politics, business, and America's future. Even though he was no longer in power, millions of people still listened. He gave speeches, held rallies, and stayed active in the Republican Party. He was not just a former president, he was now the leader of a powerful political movement. But life after the presidency wasn't easy. Trump faced multiple investigations and legal challenges. Several states and the federal government began looking into his actions, both during his presidency and after. One of the biggest cases was about the 2020 election. Trump had claimed, again and again, that the election was stolen from him. He said there was fraud, and that the results were not fair. But courts across the country found no solid proof of this. Still, Trump's words had consequences, especially on January 6, 2021, the day of the Capitol riot. After that event, Trump was impeached for a second time. He became the only president in U.S. history to be impeached twice. This time, he was charged with incitement of insurrection. But just like the first time, the Senate did not convict him. Then, in 2022 and 2023, new legal troubles appeared. Trump was investigated for keeping classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. He was also accused of trying to pressure officials to change the results of the Georgia election. More cases followed. Trump became the first former president to be criminally indicted. He now had to go to court, not as a leader, but as a defendant. Still, Trump remained strong in the eyes of his supporters. Many believed the legal attacks were political. They said the system was unfair, that Trump was being targeted because he was a threat to the powerful. And Trump agreed. He called it a witch hunt. He said, "They're not after me. They're after you. I'm just in the way." Despite all the court cases, Trump stayed focused on one goal: winning back the White House. In November 2022, he announced that he would run for president again in the 2024 election. He said, "America's comeback begins now." This announcement shook the political world. Could a former president, under investigation, really run again? Legally, yes. The U.S. Constitution doesn't stop it. And Trump didn't just run, he quickly became the frontrunner in the Republican primary. Many other Republicans tried to challenge him. Some were former allies. Some were new voices. But Trump's popularity in the party was still strong. He won straw polls. He led in early states. He filled arenas with cheering fans. He also stayed busy with media. After being banned from platforms like Twitter and Facebook, Trump launched Truth Social, his own social media network. It gave him a way to speak directly to his followers, without filters. Through it, he shared news, opinions, and his campaign updates. At the same time, America stayed divided. Some people believed Trump could save the country. Others believed he had damaged democracy. Debates, protests, and court hearings filled the news. Even years after his presidency, Trump was still at the center of attention. In early 2024, he appeared in court again and again. He sometimes gave speeches right after leaving the courtroom. It was a strange sight, a former president in a suit and tie, walking past microphones, talking about justice and revenge. And yet, he kept going. Trump said he wanted to finish the job he started in 2016. He promised to stop illegal immigration, bring back American jobs, and take on the government deep state. He said the system was broken, and only he could fix it. Today, Donald Trump is no longer just a businessman, TV star, or even a former president. He is a symbol of change, of disruption, of anger, of hope. To some, he is a hero. To others, a warning. But no matter what side people stand on, almost everyone agrees on one thing. Donald Trump changed America. And his story is not over. Whether he wins or loses in the next election. Whether he walks back into the White House or faces judgment in a courtroom. Donald Trump will remain one of the most unforgettable figures in modern history. Thanks for joining us today on Famous People, English Stories. We hope you enjoyed learning English through this incredible story. Want more stories like this? Hit like, subscribe, and stay with us on this journey, where history meets language and stories help you grow.